Okay, this last game was without a doubt the most complete game the complete game of the entire series. Both teams played incredibly well. I thought Seattle probably could have eliminated some stupid penalties, but each team had chances. Tips had chances. Birds had chances. Tips, nice. Kept putting pressure on them. They came out a little flat, but once they got that first shot on goal that went in, I mean, they really got going and they really took it to the T-Birds. Uh, Tips made the Birds work for this one. They really did. But overall, a very, very good, solid, complete game. That is playoff hockey. That's overtime playoff hockey. Huge, huge, huge win for the Birds. Huge win. All right, so to recap the game just got done with. Um, for starters, Everett outshot Seattle overall for the third time, only by 2 goals, but excuse me, only by 2 goals. But I would like to at some point see the Seattle Thunderbirds outshoot the Silvertips at least once in one game of this series. But anyway, Everett ends up out shooting Seattle 14-13, despite Seattle getting off to a commanding start. I think they shot the first 4 shots of the game, maybe 5, and then at the 5:54 minute mark of the first period, Everett's first shot, yes, their very first shot on goal, goes in as oh, wrong side. There we go. Patrick Bakov says, I believe it's Bakov. Can you correct me again? Patrick Bakov gets his second goal of the playoffs as Marco Mueller and Manraj Hayer gets the assist on the power play. After that, Seattle ends up tying it about 8 minutes later as Brandon Truk scores his second goal of the playoffs. Assists go to Robert Lipsberg and Russell Maxwell. Just basically, Brandon Truk again got the puck down low and just made some funky moves. According to the radio, scores nodded at one apiece. Everett would go back on the power play as again just more silly penalties for Seattle as Seattle ends up getting a penalty from Yamin Yakubowski for checking from behind. 2-minute power play. And then Yakubowski actually got a double minor for checking from behind as well. So it was actually a 4-minute power play. And what was bizarre is Everett drew a penalty to wipe out 2 minutes of it. And then after that expired, that's when Everett scored. So kind of a weird penalty situation and power play situation for the Everett Silvertips. But Bakov gets his second goal of the night as Hayer again and Zane Jones get the assists, second power play goal. And the Silvertips scored 2 goals, which tied for the most for their goals in both Game 1 and Game 2, as they only scored 1 goal. So the Tips led to start the second period, and Seattle ended up scoring 4 minutes into the period, thanks to an assist by. I'm used to the stats being vice versa. But anyway, Jared Smith ends up getting an assist on Scott Enzer's first goal of the playoffs. That was scored at 4 minutes to tie the game. And then Marco Mueller scores for Everett really late in the second period, 17:54. Hayer and Josh Winquist get the assist. Marco Mueller basically got down on a small fast break. Hayer set up by Hayer and Winquist, and Marco ended up taking the shot, and then he got his own rebound, and that would be Everett's final goal of the game. As Seattle ends up scoring with 4:30 left into the third period. An even strength goal. Scott Enzer with an assist from Yakubowski. And that was Enzer's second goal of the night, second goal of the playoffs. The game goes into overtime. It was not one of those marathon games where there's overtime after overtime after overtime, which I think is probably a good thing for everybody who's traveling to Kent because there was this huge accident around the Kent area. 18-car pileup and had a 12-mile backup. So that was kind of interesting. But at the 3:47 mark, Matthew Barzell scores the game winner. Assists from Justin Hickman and Ryan Gropp. So thanks to that, the Seattle Thunderbirds are off to a 3-0 start in the postseason and are up 3-0 against the Everett Silvertips. Everett outshot Seattle 31-29. Recapping scoring: Everett 2 goals in the first, 1 in the second. Seattle a goal in every single period, first, second, third, and the overtime. Looking at the power play, the Everett Silvertips had 7 power plays, but they did better than how they did in game 2. They scored their first power play goal since game 1, which was their only goal, a 5-on-3. They're 2 for 7. Seattle was 0 for 3 on the power play, which I talked about before can be very streaky. They pretty much had 1 scoring chance as that I can remember going within this game. Because again, our power play is incredibly streaky. I don't know if it's like that for every single hockey game, but it just seems that for Seattle, it's a little. It just seems for Seattle it's really streaky. All right, so I know this is really quick, but it's part of the reason why is because I got to get to bed after listening to the game with overtime. But the Birds are up 3-0. Thoughts about the game? Overall, I'm very happy. Kind of wish again we would just stop taking these stupid penalties. Not as stupid as the one that Everett drew to end regulation, which was too many men on the ice. That was dumb. But luckily, at that time, it didn't cost Everett the game. But again, I thought, actually, I didn't talk about goaltenders, so let me get back up here. Both goaltenders played well. Austin Lotz drops to 0-3 in the playoffs, stops 25 of 29 shots. Taran Kozin continues to play well, stops 28 of 31 shots, and a much tighter game compared to the first 2. So, again, I know that the T-Birds are up 3-0. Happy with the victory, but I'm not celebrating just yet. We had a 3-0 lead over the Kelowna Rockets last year, and the Kelowna Rockets ended up coming back and winning that series, best of 7. And so I'm not celebrating just yet. Also, there are plenty of times when a hockey team is down 0-3 or 0-2 and comes back and at least makes a series out of it. Particularly with Game 4 being in Everett with the Silvertips backs up against the wall. You got a hometown crowd, and also you have something to rally around. I don't know if you've been following. I saw this on Yahoo, so it must be making national news. There's a giant mudslide in Oso, Washington, which is very close to Everett. So it would give the people something to cheer about if the Tips won this game and the series. So the T-Birds are going to walk into a hostile environment in Game 4 with Everett. Again, doing the back and forth series. So the T-Birds end up winning though. Hopefully we can close it out. It would be nice to close it out, not give Everett any momentum for Game 4, but let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. But again, unlike the last 2 wins where it's kind of like, yeah, we won, but we could have done this a little better and could have. This was a good game. This one was a very good game by both teams. I'm not complimenting one more than one team more than the other. It was a good game with both teams. Just fortunately, my team came up on top. So Game 4 will be on Friday, and I will recap the game. Another reason why I hope this series ends on Friday is because I'm actually going to, if it goes this far, I'm actually going to miss Game 5 and if necessary, Game 6. So I'm kind of hoping that this series can wrap up so I don't have to wait for a potential Game 7 to follow the T-Birds. But I'm going to be doing something. I listened to the game on the radio. I might go out to a bar on Friday, but I will be following the game and I'll recap the game for you guys. So again, the final score: Seattle Thunderbirds 4, Everett Silvertips 3 in overtime. The Birds now lead the best of 7 series 3-0. Happy we're up 3-0. We're not done yet. We got to get one more. Particularly after last year, we got to get one more. So Talk to y'all later. Go Birds.